Welcome to the High Vibe Moms Club, the podcast for ambitious women ready to ditch burnout, diet culture, and mom guilt so they can feel hot, healthy, and radiant from the inside out. I'm your host, Shannon Getz, and this isn't just another wellness podcast. It's a movement. If you're ready to raise your vibe, reset your health, and step into your most confident self, you're in the right place. Welcome to another episode of High Vibe Moms Club. I am so excited for our guest today, Sophie Kish. She is a coach who has helped hundreds, or maybe even thousands of this. Yes, thousands of women step into deeper alignment, confidence, personal power, and reconnecting with who they truly are beneath the expectations, the pressure, and conditioning. So I want to take us back a little bit, full circle moment. Sophie and I actually met about 15 years ago.
Insane.
We were Hooter girls together. And now here we are talking about coaching and personal growth and women stepping into their power. So that's where I want to start today, Sophie. What moment, what experiences in your life led you to the work that you're doing today?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Shannon, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to have this conversation and to bring this forward to your group. And it is so crazy that we met 15 years ago in completely different paradigms, like a different life. And that actually is a huge part of my story. So, to start from the beginning, just a high level overview, I grew up on the East Coast, moved to France when I was 4 years old. My father was an engineer for ExxonMobil. So our family was relocated there. And then from France, moved to England and then back to Jersey, where I was born, and ultimately Pennsylvania. And this is pertinent because I believe from a very young age, it instilled this deep sense of change being normal. And then also this like wanderlust, this desire to like explore and experience all that the world had to offer. And my parents were both fantastic. They gave Luke and I both like unconditional love, which I think imprinted so much of how we show up in the world. But in high school, definitely like high performer, high achieving, every single honor society, art honor society, national honor society, Spanish honor society, dance team, just very much like a leader and a doer. But then at 17, moved from Pennsylvania to go to college at San Diego State. And that's where I got really wrapped into partying and the nightlife industry and promo modeling. And when we met, or when I was working at Hooters, I think I was like 19. How old were you, Shannon? We were at 18.
Yeah, 21, I think. Yeah, 21.
21. Maybe I was in my 20s. I forget exactly how old I was, but that was just like
Yes.
different paradigm. Obviously, we're working at Hooters, which I would not regret for anything, right? But high hyper focus on the external and just got lost. It was like the perfect secret sauce of just decisions that had me so disconnected from the truth of who I was and in pain because of that. And so then when I was 23, I moved to the Bay Area. And that was when I started my coaching business. That's when I went through yoga teacher training. It's when my brother took me to my first personal development seminar when I was 25. It was called The Invisible Side of Success by Bob Proctor.
Gosh, you met Bob Proctor or like at one
Yes,
of his. That is
yes.
amazing. I didn't get into it until he passed, and I'm like, I would have loved to attend one of his seminars.
Yeah, yeah, 2015. And Luke actually mentored with him one-on-one, which is crazy.
Amazing. Yeah.
And so moving away from San Diego gave me this space to essentially go through my awakening when I was 24. And those two events, going through teacher training, helped me create space around a lot of the fear that I was living in, and then being exposed to all of the information that Bob taught. That was like one of the first introductions to we are actually creators. We can control and create a life by our own design on our own terms as long as we're living in alignment. And I remember thinking like, how is this the first time I've never heard this information? It was just like so obvious that it was true. And I dove in. So that's a kind of like a overview.
Wow, that's amazing. I wish so many of the things that you learn in personal development, meditation, all the things, I'm like, why aren't they teaching this in school? Like
100%.
they're just like little soldiers going through the
Yes.
curriculum. And I didn't discover personal development till I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
Like
Really?
my background was engineering, and I was just like on that
Yes.
course of
Yes.
hustle, do, achieve,
Yes.
hustle, do, achieve. And it
Yes.
wasn't until after my second baby that I was like, wait a second, there's got to be more than this.
Yeah, I just got goosebumps. And I believe we're all going to be brought to this path when we're meant to. And that happens at
Mhm.
different times for everyone. And it's still beautiful that you were exposed to it and started to explore it in your 30s. Um, but yeah,
So, a lot of people who maybe haven't been exposed to the world of personal development, and if they're in my world, at least we're touching on it, they're starting to learn, they're starting to grow. But what gave you the courage to finally be like, this is my lane. I want to start a business. I want to help change thousands, hundreds of thousands of people's life.
yeah. So I was at the time after I moved from San Diego to Walnut Creek, I was a recruiter and then a commercial real estate broker. And I just remember feeling in pain because I was so misaligned from my purpose that I wanted my work and my purpose to be one and the same because I understood so young that like this is our one life. Like, why would you not want to be doing the work that actually gives your soul that fulfillment and that meaning?
Mhm.
And because Shannon, after really diving in to this world and then applying it to my own life, like things started to change so drastically that I just felt this deep calling. Like, I want a platform to share the information that's changing my life, and I want to help other people change theirs. And then also create this life where I felt very just in alignment and free and able
Mhm.
to travel and able to explore and able to use my wisdom to serve in that way. So, it's a calling, and I believe that like you can lose a job but you can't lose a calling. Your calling's always going to evolve with you, so
Yes.
it's just like this deep inner knowing, and you really can't escape that. I believe like you can try to look at different areas, but you're always going to be brought back to the thing that you're actually here on this earth to do, and it will
Mhm.
require your courage. And back then, when I was in my 20s, there was also like a youthful adrenaline component to it, which is, I think, part of the reason why I had to go through the burnout, because we will be asked through our own pain to hold a deeper level of light and embodied wisdom that you can't just get uh, from, taking in information and then sharing it out. You've got to apply it to your own, yeah, self.
No, I definitely believe that. I think for my journey, I didn't find personal development until you get to a point where you feel
Yes.
like something's not aligning, where you
Yeah.
feel so disconnected from who you are. Where, in my point, I was after my second baby, I've been doing the hustling, climbing the corporate ladder, becoming a successful engineer. And then it was I'm still working on it. I'm still an engineer trying to move out of that space.
Yes, you are.
And
And you will.
literally, yeah, the universe has been the last 3 years, the universe is like giving me a little taste. And then I haven't moved. I've
There's
been
been
staying
fear.
comfortable. And just 2 weeks ago, now my job, they're like, oh, well, guess what? You've been teleworking. You only have to go to the office twice a week. Now we're going to move you into the office 5 days a week.
Wow.
And I think that was the universe being like, okay, she's not moving. So we got to make her real uncomfortable in order for her to make this pivot, make this change.
Did you jump? Are you jumping?
I'm getting ready to, and I'm scared, but excited. And I've
Yes.
been telling people, they're like, oh, are you excited to, starting April to work full time in the office again? I'm like, I'm not going to be here for that.
Oh, wow. So it's April. So in the next couple of days, you're gonna
Yep. And so I'm like literally, Sophie, I'm like sweating just thinking about it,
thinking
but I'm
about it.
like, it feels like the best thing,
We
even though it's
know. We
scary.
always know. We always know. And that scary sensation is just a sign of your soul expanding into something greater. The unknown is not the enemy, it's just the proof that something bigger is forming. And so more of the known is more of the same, it's more of what is. But you've been
Hmm.
feeling that for some time when you were at the event that you came to last November, which is crazy. It's
Hmm.
6 months ago now. I know you mentioned this as well too. So congratulations on just honoring that because when we jump, it's like the safety net appears because our safety net
Hmm.
is in certainty beyond logic. Certainty
Yeah.
beyond logic. My mind might be telling me that this is the perceived sense of safety from the paycheck or more of what I've been doing, but I have certainty that there is something greater for me. And when I actually move, the light will fill that space.
Yes. No, I totally believe that. And it's because it's almost a knowing where even though it is scary, I just have that knowing like it's okay, everything's gonna work out.
And so, what got you to a place where you're feeling ready to actually make that decision now, outside of they're trying to bring you back into the office? What do you feel like you have had to go through to get to this place where you're like, okay, I'm leaving?
Um, Over the past, especially year, now starting the podcast, doing the coaching, it forces you, I always say like personal development. Or, I mean, starting a business is like personal development on crack because you're like, I need to learn. Like you get this yearning for more. So I wouldn't say there was like a specific moment in time, but I
Yeah.
think it was just the year and all these little signs showing
Yeah.
up. And I always believe in universal guidance and I ask for signs. And when I found out about the push for 5 days in the office, I was like, okay, if I am supposed to switch positions, lead my own life, start coaching, do something where I'm not going to pursue engineering, show me a
Mhm.
butterfly, show me a butterfly in the next 24 hours. And within 10 minutes, I went to like go take my little supplements, and right next to it were pesos with butterflies all over them.
I love that. I
So I
love
was like,
that.
okay, okay. Okay, so back to not just me, but
It's
for
good.
all of our high achieving mamas, what is some examples if they're feeling disconnected from themselves?
Hmm.
Why do you think this happens? I know we kind of touched that it's more of we're not in our sole purpose,
Hmm.
but it's scary, especially when you think of, no, I went to school, I did all the things I'm supposed to, and now
Hmm.
you're so disconnected.
Hmm.
Why do you think so many women are kind of, they feel stuck at this point in their lives? They're in their 30s and they're like, is this all there is? What's next?
Yeah, it's such a good question, Shannon. I believe really what's happening, especially in America culturally, is we live in a society where there's a lot of disembodiment, disassociation. So many women are living from the neck up. So we're so disconnected from like our heart and our body and our wombs and the wisdom that lives in our body and our pleasure and our turn on and our aliveness.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to figure it all out from the neck up, from the mind. And
Hmm.
so it's a disembodiment issue and a disconnection from our source, which is our spirit and our heart. And anytime that we're in that place of just living from the stories of the mind, they're going to be an inadequacy, scarcity, fear, and doubt. So there's no
Hmm.
way that we can access this aliveness and this vitality and this feeling of our own connection to our source because the connection's not there.
Yeah.
And then the other part that I believe you're speaking to is I think that, identity it's such a strong force. So you're experiencing this right now to use you as an example. Shannon's been an
Hmm.
engineer for how many years?
14.
14 years. So that is such a practiced identity for you where that feels normal. So going from this to something different, you're going to feel pain. Your nervous system feels so habituated in this state of being that it's going to have that like pullback effect unless
Hmm.
you're willing to move through what Bob would call the terror barrier and get to the other
Hmm.
side, right? So identity is a really strong force. And I believe we have to also like recognize that it's not something that happens. It doesn't have to take years and years and years, but it doesn't happen overnight because it's who you're practicing being day in and day out.
Hmm.
But the first step for anyone listening to this that's resonating is connect breath, sound, and movement, the three most powerful elements of any somatic or embodiment practice, but just really getting into your body, getting out of the mind.
Hmm. And Sophie touched on this, but I joined one of your in-person events last November,
Yeah.
and it was amazing because it didn't feel just like healing,
Yeah.
but it was fun.
Thank you.
Because I know we went through this whole process and it was something where you just felt so much lighter and in touch with yourself after because you got out of your head.
Yes. Yeah. Totally. And it was a little taste of my method, the coherence process, which is combining both the top down and the bottom up. And
Hmm.
this is so huge too. I didn't mention this in the beginning, but right now I'm currently on Tony's team, Tony Robbins' team. And he always talks about how state should come before story. So the way we change our lives is changing our behavior, changing the emotional state that we live in and come from. That requires our physiology, our body. If you go to any of his events, he has people up, dancing, shaking, moving. And
Hmm.
this is just reconnecting as women to our primal, raw essence and desire to move and express. We're so far removed from that. So, thank you for saying that. I'm glad you had fun. It gets to be fun. And there's simple practices and techniques that will just help you get out of
Hmm.
this and into this, and then using the brilliance of your mind to move.
Yes. And you talked a little bit about your unique approach. There's so many gurus and experts. There's so much behind it all. But for people who are in the personal development space, the personal growth space,
Yes.
what makes your approach so unique? Can you
Yeah.
walk us through that a little bit more? You touched on it.
For sure. So the coherence process combines its breath work, hypnotherapy, somatic processing, parts work, and nervous system regulation to down regulate your nervous system into a state of heart coherence. I believe that's the missing piece. People are like heart and head are not connecting, they're not talking,
Mhm.
there's no communication with one another. And so it's not a one size fits all, Shannon, but it's beautiful because it's just going to meet someone where they are. So there's a combination of both of those modalities. For people who don't understand this, top down is thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, actions lead to results. Bottom
Mhm.
up is doesn't really matter what you're thinking, we can get into your body to shift the way that you feel. And what I've found is that having both in a method is what allows it to be essentially like a full 180 for the person that's going through the experience because it isn't
Mhm.
one size fits all. And I think you're so spot on that it's dizzying how many modalities there are out there. It's
Yes.
wild how many coaches there are out there. You have to really trust your intuition when you are connecting with anyone and make sure that they're the walking, living, breathing embodiment of what they teach, that they have the experience. There's lots of smoke and mirrors out there, and you've got to really
Mm.
just make sure that you vet whoever you're considering working with. Um, but yeah,
I absolutely believe that. There was a point where I was working with a coach, and it was one of the sales calls. I know with higher ticket things, they want to kind of like vet you while you're on the phone to see if it's a good fit. And I remember having a feeling in my heart where I was screaming no, but then I felt like the person on the phone was like twisting my arm so hard
oh my
that
gosh.
I was just like, yes, okay, fine, here's my card. And it was the worst like 12 weeks. And it's because this was the beginning of my personal development journey. So
Yeah.
it was like the first ad I saw. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's just do it
Mhm.
because I wasn't aware
Yeah.
of everybody out there. And you have to really listen to that intuition because I didn't. I was like, I'm just scared. Okay, fine, take the card. And I should have listened because it was the worst $10,000 I ever
Oh
spent.
gosh. Yeah, that sucks. There's some of
Yeah.
those. Yeah. And it's wild. I think when I started, the coaching space was very, very different, and social media and marketing can make people seem to be some type of way when they're not. There are people who are really good at
Mhm.
the marketing but lack the substance, and then there's people who are
Yeah,
great with the substance and not as good. You just got to really make sure you vet whoever you're considering working with.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, in your work, what would you say is the most common block for women in this space when they're feeling disconnected? I know step one is always aware. Like, that's the
Awareness.
biggest thing,
Yeah.
being aware,
Sure.
the
Yes.
awareness. But what would you say in your work? What has been the biggest emotional block, and how can they start working through that?
The biggest story I believe all women hold is something is fundamentally wrong with me or I'm not safe.
Mhm.
And I see that show up time and time again through all of the clients that I've worked with privately, through clients here on Tony's team globally, feeling like something is fundamentally wrong or broken. And I believe that happens when we're identifying with the mind. And as long as you until you free yourself from the subconscious stories of the mind, you're always going to feel unsafe, inadequate, not enough, scarcity.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you're going to be in that fear because that's our humanity. It's the parts of us that we're looking to integrate, which is why parts work is so goddamn powerful.
Mhm.
And have you heard of parts work before, Shannon?
I haven't. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so it's inner family systems, and there's essentially the self energy, which is what we all want to come from, which
Mhm.
you're in this self when you feel confident and compassionate and curious and clear. And then
Mhm.
we have protector parts that are protecting exiled parts. So these are like the younger wounded parts of you. Like maybe it's a part of you in shame or rejection. And then there's a
Mhm.
protector part that might be protecting the exile part, like overthinking or perfectionism.
Yes.
And so getting to know these parts and giving them space to express allows them to integrate so you can come from the self more frequently than
Mhm.
coming at life from your parts. So it's just one of the many modalities out there I've found to be the most beneficial. I love using parts work with my clients. It's a part of the coherence process. I'm not safe. Something's fundamentally wrong with me. Yeah, so that's when you're believing the parts. And this is those are the two definitely. And then the other piece, not feeling safe, because we have to feel stable as women in our own vessel. Like our body is the
Mhm.
vessel. It is the space in which we can hold more. If
Mhm.
we're asking for a bigger life, we have to be willing and able, and this is so applicable to you right now too, to hold the not knowing, to hold the
Yeah.
uncertainty, to hold the fear, to hold the challenge without collapsing onto ourselves, right? Without collapsing down to the
Mhm.
size of our own logic.
No, I have so many women where when you're talking about the parts is the overthinking and the perfectionism.
Yes, totally.
Those are the two that I see all the time where they just get stuck. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me more about your childhood. And they're like, oh, my childhood was perfect. I have
Mm-hmm.
nothing to
Mm-hmm.
share. And I'm like, okay, if you're not willing to share that quite yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because that was my thing is as a kid, similar to your story, is high achieving. We were always,
Yes.
you couldn't just get an A, you had to get an A plus. You couldn't
Yes.
just be on the soccer team, you had to be a
We are
starter.
all yes,
Yes, you always just had to be perfect and almost have to prove yourself because
for
you felt
sure.
like that was the way to get love, to be part
For
of the
sure.
community.
For sure, for sure. And so it's not like we had quote unquote negative or traumatic upbringings, but through that we made meaning of like this is how I have significance, which is one of the core values that could be guiding us through
Hmm.
like putting your worth in the outcome or the achievement. And so it molded both of us for sure. And I believe for good in some ways, but also in a way of like coming back to I am inherently worthy. I'm
Hmm.
already whole, even if my mind tells me otherwise. I'm actually safe and enough. And who I am, my sense of self, isn't coming from that thing, the grade on the paper or the money in the
Hmm.
bank account or the result of the launch. It's not out there. It's here
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe that's a journey for so many high functioning, high achieving, ambitious women
Mm-hmm.
who find themselves overthinking. And then with the perfectionist piece, totally a recovering perfectionist myself. And that's actually the lowest level that you can set for yourself because perfection is an illusion, right? It's like there's
Mm-hmm.
no such thing. So rather, how can we allow ourselves to go for being outstanding, for being ready to jump before we feel ready, to train ourselves to,
Yes.
yeah,
So one thing that my listeners struggle with is the burnout, being overwhelmed. And I know we talked about nervous system regulation, and there's different modalities of how to do it. But for someone who is new to it,
yeah,
I've talked about breath work. And my thing that has worked for me is movement. I love to dance, I love to get into my
yes,
body.
yes,
I've done meditation. I actually did a week long meditation retreat
yes.
with Dr. Joe.
Yeah. When did you
Um,
go?
yes, that was in December, and I didn't think I could ever do a 5 hour meditation, but I did.
But you did. That's amazing, girl. Yeah.
So that was a really great experience. But for somebody who hasn't really dove into all the different modalities, I know you said it would be individual.
Yeah.
So do you recommend a mama just try all of them? Is there a certain method that has found more success, or is so individual that you literally just have to try each one?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And so it is not a one size fits all. So there will be an exploratory process, but for someone who's really feeling burnt out, outside of the very first step, slow down, create some space. Notice if when you park your car, are you running into the store? Are you washing your dishes crazy fast? Right? Are you, because it's those small micro moments that we start to train our nervous system that it's safe to unwind and to soften.
Mm.
When we're constantly in the sympathetic state, which is fight or flight, go, 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 it's like our nervous system. I actually have this cool thing. I'll grab it. It's staying like, and it wants to go, it need just like the waves go in and out. So
Mhm.
starting to slow down and give yourself space, which they might be laughing right now, saying two kids, husband, job, what are you talking about? Right? But in the micro moments, you park your car in the driveway, slow down and breathe for 5 minutes. Watch the way that you're actually just moving, brushing your teeth. How can you soften and reconnect to your femininity, that flow? So that would be like a really small, easy, accessible thing for
Mm.
all of the listeners who are brand new to this. The second thing is meditation is it's technically a tool for the mind. It's a tool for the
Mhm.
thinking mind. Why breath is really powerful is because when we're in sympathetic, so much stress energy, cortisol, adrenaline flooding through the body, we need to release that in some way.
Mhm.
So that's where breath, sound, and movement is so powerful, Shannon. And I do love hearing that dance is so great for you because it really is just such a fantastic way for us to reconnect to our aliveness. And you can literally turn on a song that matches the emotion that you're feeling. So if you're feeling like
Yes.
sad, turn on a sad song. If you're feeling angry, turn on like a yellow
Yeah.
song. If you feel happy, turn on a happy song. If you're feeling and give that emotion the safety and the ability to express. Because when you do that, when you're no longer afraid of the emotions and the parts within you, you just naturally will come into a state of wholeness or that self energy that we're talking about.
Mhm.
And so I'd say that those things are really important. Um, and then, of course, there's like a plethora, never ending amount of somatic specific techniques and practices, nervous system tools and practices. Understanding the nervous system from an educational standpoint, too, is so huge. Like
Mhm.
the different branches of the nervous system, what's happening to just allow yourself to be aware. But I would say for beginners,
Mhm.
face, breath, sound, and movement.
Yes. Yeah, just a couple weeks ago, my kids had a color run or the bubble run,
Yeah.
and the teacher invited us to go watch them. And I went to go to the office, and they're like, "Oh no, you're not on the volunteer list. You can't watch them." And I took the day off for this. And so in that moment, I was so angry, Sophie,
Yeah.
because I was like, the teacher already told me, here's the email. And I was angry. And at that moment, I was like, okay, take a deep breath. But it's still like what the breath wasn't helping. I was still just like breathing too fast. I was like, slow down, use the tools. And then we went out. They're like, oh, you can watch them from like the fence, which is like 100 yards away. And then they had music playing. And so one of my daughter's favorite songs right now is from like the Demon Hunters. And that song played. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to dance with her. We're going to have so much fun. And all of the frustration, all of the anger, it went away.
That, that's incredible. So you're dancing on the other side of the fence. You're a cool mom.
But
That's so yeah, it's a great example. Real life, right? We're not, this isn't about becoming a human perfect. It's about being more empowered with ways in which you can support yourself when you're actually feeling that trigger or that disconnect.
yes, and I was so surprised. I was like, wow, it's been like 30 seconds and I feel great.
That's awesome.
Yes. Okay, so for this might be a little bit selfish for me to ask this one, but I know there's other high achieving mamas that would resonate with this.
Yes.
For a season of life where I am transitioning and it can feel a little bit scary,
Yeah.
even for mamas who maybe they are stay at home and now they're transitioning to going back into the office now that their little ones are older.
Yeah.
What is one tip that you can give us or a piece of advice um, in this transition when it might feel a little bit scary, when we can try to calm our nervous system?
Mhm. I would make your mantra, I have everything. I need nothing. Yes. I have everything. I need nothing. And recognizing that that scary sensation is just the fact that your soul is expanding. And then also coming back to this idea of like certainty beyond logic, right? Like
Mm,
certainty beyond whatever the mind is telling you or whatever has happened up until this point, because that is what life responds to. It's your
mhm,
certainty, it's your knowing. And so, Shannon, your vessel, like your body, your ability to hold this next level, it's been forming,
mhm,
right? And I believe that you're feeling more stable with where you're at today. And
mhm,
so having that certainty and recognizing that the fear that you're feeling is really just, and I wrote about this just yesterday, it's the opposite. So it's just the sensation of what you know you're about to expand into, like the light and the purpose and the meaning and the clients and
mhm.
the money and the impact. And
Yeah.
so how can you accept that as it comes and then
Mhm,
use that mantra or breathe into it, right? I have everything, I need nothing. I
mhm,
trust that this feeling and this sensation is just a part of my path, and infusing and injecting those emotions with your own certainty, with your self-belief.
mhm.
In addition, I would get very clear too on like your vision, like both of for you starting your own thing, for someone going back to the office. Do you have that written out? Do you have a clear idea of where you're going with all of this?
Yes, I don't have my phone on me. Oh, here it is. Yes, I have a vision board as like my screensaver. And every morning I try to do at least like a 15-minute meditation where I am visualizing. And I think the biggest struggle is to not focus on the how it's going to happen, but just focus on the belief and on feeling like I'm feeling this way. The vision came to me for a reason. It didn't go to somebody else. This is my life, but don't focus on how it's coming in. There's so many different channels. The universe has an infinite amount of channels for the love and the abundance, and to not be like it has to come in through coaching only, like.
Mm. So what is tell me what the vision is that you're saying the vision came to me. What is that?
It would just when I close my eyes, I picture just being at home more with my kids. And it's more that time freedom as well as the financial freedom where I'm not checking in with somebody every single day.
Hmm.
It's just picking up my kids and then being able to drop them off, not being able to, go to whatever bubble run, color run, all the things, and not
Yeah,
having to ask for time off. And I'm like, is it through coaching? Is that the best avenue? Or is it something else? But I just know that the vision that came in was about inspiring others as well as having more time with my family.
for sure. And so you get to hold on to that. And
Yeah.
the how, Tony speaks to this so beautifully. He always says, like, the tyranny of the how. It's like you get to claim this is the result and this is why you really want it, and keep those things front and center and let them feed you and fuel you. And honestly, Shannon, it's like there's so many different paradigms of people and ways to do life out here. It's like if you are choosing to do a purpose-driven life, that is one that is your path. There isn't going to be a path, right? If you
Yeah.
see a path in front of you, you're on someone else's path. This is what I mean by certainty beyond logic. You can,
Mhm.
for people who are choosing to do something that's more traditional or a paycheck, there's zero judgment and shame. I believe we all are here to do different things in life, but that is
Mhm.
more of like a straightforward path. You're given this to do so you see it, right? And so you know your spirit is asking you to go the other way. So just
Mhm.
understanding that the how isn't really up to you. You're not in the outcome business. Your ego wants to know, but your soul doesn't have to. What's
Yes.
important is that you're opening yourself up, and we're all opening ourselves up to be this channel for I've been calling it the light recently because my brother and I are studying Kabbalah.
Oh my gosh, I love Kabbalah.
What?
I just started getting into it that I'm like, am I Jewish now?
Wait, how are you starting to get into it?
I started reading Kathy Heller's book
Oh my
on
gosh.
abundance, and then she talks about her rabbi. So then I bought
Oh
his book
yeah.
on the Rabbi Aaron, and I started reading all about Kabbalah, and now I'm just like, this is
It's
amazing.
amazing. Yeah, that's so wild. Luke and I have been really into it. And so they talk about the light and then the vessel. And so our
Yes.
work is to be this channel. And I really believe that it's about understanding that when you open yourself up to give
Mhm.
true giving without an agenda,
Yes.
you are going to reveal the abundance that's already there. It's not about like taking from anyone. It's
Yes.
there is a unique frequency that you have, that I have, that we all have. We have unique medicine and codes from our lived and learned experience. And when we can just trust and have that certainty that it is enough and it's going to bring us on the right path in the right way, when we get out of the way of it, then it starts to just come into our life in a bigger way.
Yes. Oh, so good. Oh, I
And
love it.
when I was 25, there was such almost naivety. That's the youthful adrenaline, but I was just a clear channel to that coming through.
Hmm.
And that's the level of conviction you need to have. And then your vessel is going to be tested and it's going to be asked to grow bigger. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so good. Okay, as we wrap up today, I just want to let the listeners know, how can they connect with you, Sophie? How can they learn more about your amazing work and your purpose in this world?
Yeah. So my Instagram handle is Sophie Kish, SophieKish. And then my website is www.sophierosekish.com. If you go on there, you're able to send me a message. There's also like a free hypnosis that you can listen to and get a taste of the work immediately. And yeah, thank you for having me on. This was so fun to rekindle 15 years later.
Yes, no, it has been such a beautiful conversation. And yeah, you just opened up so many more doors of like, okay, now I want to learn about this and grow here. And I know so many of the mamas who are listening today that it opened up doors for them too. So I look forward to them connecting with you. Thank you so much for being on High Vibe Moms Club, and we will chat soon.
Thank you, Shannon. Bye.